director of the Georgia chapter of the Sierra Club. Sierra Club is the oldest and largest grassroots environmental organization in the country. We were founded by John Muir in 1892, and our mission is to explore, enjoy, and protect the planet. And like Ms. Johnson Reagan, we think that the land is an inheritance, and I appreciate your comments earlier. So the Sierra Club was founded as a hiking club, so John Muir and his buddies liked to go hike in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and they became threatened by various mining proposals. So they fought these mining proposals to protect these places they like to explore, which kind of gave us the more activist event that we have today. And as the various threats to the places that we like to explore expanded as the Industrial Revolution happened, and the threats became more diverse to the places we like to explore, you know, we've had to take on a much broader set of issues. And so today, climate disruption is the biggest challenge we face, you know, as a world. And so our Beyond Coal campaign and how we address our energy issues is the biggest issue that we tackle every day. And, you know, we recently have ushered in the retirement of 165 coal-fired power plants. And so most people assume that the Sierra Club, of course, would support nuclear energy because it's at least carbon-free. But that's not the case, because that's sort of trading one big problem, the carbon emissions, for another big problem. And actually there are three big problems associated with nuclear energy. It's really expensive. It leaves toxic waste for, you know, hundreds of years, and it sucks up the water. And that's really what we're here to talk about tonight. So substantively, we'd like to support the comments that Sarah Barsak made earlier, the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, and I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a step back and talk somewhat about the bigger picture and the need for this plant and the need for the energy, and sort of how much things have changed since the Public Service Commission first approved this plant in 2009, and sort of where we are in terms of water today. Let's see, my notes are a little bit all over the place. So we're lucky in Georgia, I think, that the water use in our state is governed by a riparian right. So it is this reasonable use standard that Glenn Carroll with Nuclear Watch Staff talks about, and that's an important distinction between Western water law. And the Sierra Club and the Georgia Water Coalition are down at the Georgia Capitol every year fighting to keep it that way. And that's why we get to have the conversation that we have today. It's not for sale. It's not whoever has the deepest pockets get to buy the water rights and get to use what they want. It's we as a community get to decide how we want to use our water and what's the most important use for it. You know, do the farmers get to use it, or do the power plants get to use it? Do we want to swim in it, or do we want to, you know, send it down to, you know, how much do we need to send down to Florida, or how much does South Carolina get to use? These are the negotiations that we get to have, because that's the way that we're regulating water rights in this state. And so that's why we get to have this conversation. So we get to say, do we want one power plant to suck up this much water for the rest of time? Or do we want to save it for other things that we would like to do with it, like grow food and swim it and fish in it and do all that, you know, have economic growth and leave the place better for our children and our children's children. And so since 2009, when Georgia Power was predicting this 4% annual growth, you know, things have really leveled off, and there's a lot more that can be done with energy efficiency, and the cost of renewables have come down dramatically. And so all of those things have changed the playing field in such a way that all of this water, we don't need to use all of this water. We should really go back to the drawing board and think about whether this is the best decision to make. So in terms of energy efficiency, in the last Integrated Resource Plan, which is what the Public Service Commission does every 3 years to plan out how we're going to meet our energy needs for the next 20 years, Georgia Power is only getting 0.1% of annual sales. That's just pathetic. Most other utilities are getting 1% of annual sales. That's just sort of the industry standard. If we were really aggressive and tried really hard and had great programs, we could be getting 2%. So let's do that first. That's the easiest, that's the cheapest, that saves us money. Let's do that first. That saves a ton of water. Next, we're doing solar. Like, we're going from kind of like worst to first in solar. We have like 22 megawatts installed now. We're going to get to over 800 by 2016. That's creating Georgia jobs. That is, you know, no water is required to produce those electrons. That is great news. Those projects are happening all over the state. Let's do a lot more of that. Also, the Public Service Commission has a wind docket open right now. They're probably going to approve it in the next couple of weeks. We're getting 250 megawatts of wind from Oklahoma. also using no water whatsoever, also way cheaper than anything else. Why don't they have a ton more of that they could be doing? Let's do that instead. The situation is so much different than it was in 2009. We don't need to be sucking the Savannah River dry. We need to go back to the drawing board on this. Thanks.